You've discovered your raised bed is trying to shapeshift from a rectangle to an oval. Here is one way to get your raised bed back into its original shape. The plan here is to use a center beam and add additional supports to the outside. This is probably obvious, but for completeness, this should be done where the weak point is, where the bed is expanding the most. At the very end of this video, I will go over a technique you can use if you have a wider dimensional lumber and it isn't so easy to get it back in place in one shot. First, protect any irrigation system in place. As you can see here, we are removing our garden grids, getting them off the work site. Next, brush back any mulch, and that can get put back into place after the repair is done. Side benefit here is it's pretty neat to see how well the mulch is working and how much moisture is still in the raised bed. Right here we've been in the 90 degrees, so I was pretty impressed with how well this bed is holding moisture with just a small layer of mulch. Now it's time to dig the trench. Then verify with whatever kind of beam you want to use. If it's a 2x4, 2x6, in this case, this is a 2x4. Put it in place and make sure the trench is wide enough. Next, let's talk about how deep it should go. It should be about in the middle of the raised bed height-wise. You don't want the beam to be at the top where the raised bed can continue to widen on the bottom, or if the beam is put on the bottom of the bed, the raised bed can continue to bow out on the top. In this case, I'm going about 8 inches down because there is a log that's preventing us from going down any further. Here you can see this bed is just over 38 inches wide. It originally started out below 36 inches. When I built this raised bed, I intentionally had the plywood bowing towards the middle. Sometimes you just have to laugh at some of your best laid plans. Mark the center beam with whatever measurement you want it to be. In this case, I just want it to match what's going on the outside, not the original smaller shape. It's going to be hard enough to get it back into place as it is. Then cut it down. I am also cutting down the side supports at the same time. The side supports are the entire height of the raised bed to help prevent the top or the bottom from bowing out again. Now it's time to verify that beam and to start marking where the beam is going to attach to the outside supports. In this case, we're just under 5 inches. So I'm going to mark the top of the beam on the side support to know where to pre-drill. Then mark where the screws are going to go through the support. Rather than drilling in place, I am doing this in a more supportive environment. I'm using my porch post as a backstop. I'm putting a beam there more to protect the porch post than anything. And then I'm just using another scrap of wood as a spacer so that I can pre-drill both the side support and the beam. You may not have this limitation. You may have noticed I only did this on one side because as a one-person job, I'm not 100% sure on where it's going to line up on the other end, so I didn't want to commit to making extra holes where the beam might be a little bit shifted from where I want it to be. I'm just working with this on the fly. Now that everything is in place, you can also attach the screws in to make your job easier rather than trying to balance a couple of moving parts. Longer screws are a must. This next step could have been done at the same time as creating the trench. The thing is, we need space to push the side of the raised bed back into place. So brush the mulch back and then remove some of the dirt from the side. This is the time to get an assistant to help push the bed back into place as you pre-drill and then secure the beam to the other side. Unfortunately, I do not have any footage. I was working too fast. But I used this exact method on the OSB bed, fully expecting that it was not going to be sturdy in the middle and it needed this additional support. Wow, that tightened right up.
Split really good too.
And that is why you pre-drill. Once the beam is in place, everything goes back in the way it was removed. This is a great solution if your walls have a smaller width and it's easy to push back in shape. But what if you have thicker pieces of lumber? In that case, this same technique can be used over a period of time. Cut down the center beam shorter than it currently is, but longer than you want it to be in the end. Once you secure it in place, let it sit a few days. Come back, take it off, shorten it a bit more, and keep repeating this process until the bed is the desired final width. The nice thing is that you are recycling the same beam in the middle. One of the problems here is that the moisture of the soil is still a problem, and the wood will still try to bow. We have to stop this cycle. So you should check out the solution in the video I mentioned at the end to give the wood a chance to dry out. I was thinking maybe we should wrap this with the plastic as well, but all it will do is hold the moisture inside because eventually water would work its way inside of the plastic. So these are throwaway pieces that we'll intend to check on and replace from time to time. Here is one last tip. Take the measurement of your final span and write it down. Make sure that it is in a safe place so that if you see cracks forming again, you'll know for sure that this is not the problem, that there's some other cause. At some point, I expect that this board in the middle will fail. It's a sacrificial piece of lumber. It will definitely have to get replaced more often than any other piece of lumber on this frame. In an upcoming video, I will be going over many more reasons why you may see cracks in your soil. It's definitely not just because the bed is widening. I'll put that video here when it comes out. Admittedly, this repair is the result of my choice of building materials, which is plywood and OSB. There is an additional repair which completely eliminates this moisture buildup along the sides from the soil constantly being wet, and that can be applied to any other kinds of lumber as well. You can check out that repair in this video. Thanks for watching.